The sun burns mercilessly over the heart of Wagadugu. Its golden light bleeds across roofs of rusted tin, rippling fabrics, and the endless swirl of dust that paints everything in shades of survival. The air hums, thick with the scent of spices, roasted maize, and sweat. Mothers haggle for a few more coins. Men drag carts that groan under the weight of goods and hunger. Children weave between legs, barefoot, their laughter echoing through chaos. A fragile kind of joy that poverty could not crush. And through this storm of sound and color walks Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He moves not as a ruler above his people, but as one of them. His uniform may carry medals, his name may echo through radio and rebellion, yet his steps are grounded, slow, deliberate. Every glance he meets he honors, every handshake he holds. To the people, he is not just a president. He is the son who refused to forget his mother's soil. But on this day, something stops him. A tremor of emotion flickers across his face. In the heart of the marketplace, among baskets of mangoes and papayas, a boy sits on the dirt, no more than 8 years old. His name, Nabil. Tears streak down his dust-stained cheeks. His tiny hands tremble as he gathers fruit that has rolled into the street. The wooden cart beside him lies broken. A wheel snapped off, its frame split clean down the middle. The mangoes, their bright orange skins bruised and trampled, lie scattered like lost hopes. People pass by, eyes averted. A few glance, then turn away. Because in Wagadugu, pain is not rare. It is a daily guest at every table. But Ibrahim doesn't walk past. He freezes. The sounds of the market seem to fade. No more shouts, no more bargaining. Just the sound of one boy's sobs and a nation's silence. The boy's voice cracks as he whispers to himself, "Baba will be angry. How will we sell now?" His words are swallowed by the dust. Ibrahim's security detail notices his pause. "Sir," one of them murmurs, "we should keep moving." But the president's gaze doesn't shift. He sees something in that boy, something that pierces deeper than politics or power. Because this wasn't just a broken cart, it was a broken chance at survival. That cart fed a family. It carried not just fruit, but the fragile dignity of a father who wakes before dawn to earn a single meal. Ibrahim takes a slow breath. The heat presses against his skin, but his heart feels colder, heavy with the memory of his own childhood, when he too stood in markets, barefoot, forgotten, invisible. He remembers his mother's hands, cracked from labor yet gentle when they cupped his face. He remembers the hunger, the long days, the feeling of being unseen, and in that moment he sees himself in Nabil. The chief of security steps closer. "Captain, it's not safe here. We should—" Traore raises a hand, a silent command. The guards stop. The president walks forward alone. Every eye turns. Vendors whisper. Who was this man, dressed in uniform, kneeling in the dirt before a child? Ibrahim crouches beside the boy. The dust stains his knees. He picks up a bruised mango, turning it gently in his hand. "What happened, son?" His voice soft, almost fatherly. The boy sniffs, wiping his face with the back of his hand. "My cart broke. A truck hit it. All the mangoes fell. I can't fix it." His voice cracks under the weight of despair that no child should know. Ibrahim nods slowly. He doesn't speak right away. He lets the silence breathe, a silence heavy with understanding. Then he says quietly, "Do you know who I am?" The boy shakes his head. "Good." Ibrahim smiles faintly. "Then talk to me as you would to any man." The boy blinks, confused but comforted. "Your father, he works with you?" "Yes, he sells fruit with me. He's sick today. I told him I could help." The president's eyes soften. Boy trying to protect his father. A family trying to survive one more day. Ibrahim stands. His guards tense, expecting orders. But what he says next shocks everyone within earshot. "Bring me tools," he says. "We will fix this cart. Here." Murmurs ripple through the market. No president had ever stopped to fix a child's cart in the middle of the street. But Ibrahim Traoré was not like other leaders. He had once carried the same burdens these people still carried. As his men scramble to find tools, Ibrahim rolls up his sleeves. He kneels again beside the broken wood, his hands tracing the fracture. The crowd gathers, silent, curious, moved. Nabil watches with wide eyes, disbelief and hope wrestling in his tiny heart. And under that burning afternoon sun, a leader and a child begin to rebuild. Something far greater than a cart. They begin to rebuild faith, but what began as a simple act of kindness would soon expose a truth that even Ibrahim Traoré was not prepared to face. The hum of the market continues like a restless ocean, but for Ibrahim, the world has gone still. His gaze remains fixed on the boy. Who is that child? He asks quietly. One of his aides, a young man from the neighborhood, eyes weary from knowing too many stories like this, steps forward. That's Nabil, sir, the aide says softly. His father, he's a fruit seller, sick for months now. Tuberculosis may be worse. The boy pushes the cart every morning. His mother died 2 years ago. He's the eldest of 4, 3 little sisters at home. The aide's words hang heavy in the hot air. He speaks not with shock or sympathy, but with the tired acceptance of a man who has seen too much suffering to be surprised anymore. In Burkina Faso, there were thousands of Nabils, children turned into adults before their time. Children who learned to carry hunger, loss, and responsibility before they could even spell their own names. But for Ibrahim, the story was not just another tragedy. It was a mirror. As the aide spoke, Ibrahim felt something shift deep inside. A familiar ache, sharp, old, and unforgettable. He remembered another small boy, barefoot, walking the same dusty streets years ago. That boy was him. That boy once sold bread by the roadside so his mother could buy medicine. He remembered the hunger that clawed his stomach, the shame of being invisible, the endless fight to be seen as more than poor. And now here he was, standing in the same dust, wearing a president's uniform, watching another child fight the same invisible war. He turned toward the aide again. How did it happen? The aide pointed toward a massive crater in the dirt road, a hole large enough to swallow a small car. There, sir. The cart hit it. The wheel snapped. These roads, they've been like this for years. The families can't afford repairs. Their carts are old, handmade. Ibrahim's jaw tightened. His eyes narrowed at the pothole, not as a simple hole in the ground, but as a wound on the face of his nation. It was more than broken wood and road dust. It was a symbol of neglect, of promises unkept, of leaders who rode in luxury convoys and never saw the broken roads beneath their people's feet. For years, he had spoken about rebuilding Burkina Faso, but here was the truth, sitting in front of him, in the form of one boy's broken cart. Nabil's small hands were trembling now, his fingers raw and bleeding from scraping at the stones. He tried to collect the fruit again, not because he believed it would matter, but because doing something hurt less than doing nothing. His sobs had gone quiet, replaced by a soft, exhausted whimper, the kind a child makes when the world has already taken too much. Ibrahim heard him whisper something, so faint it almost vanished into the heat. Please. Please, Mama. Tell Papa not to be angry. I tried so hard. My sisters. They didn't eat since yesterday. The words struck Ibrahim like gunfire to the heart. He blinked hard, the sunlight stinging his eyes, or maybe it wasn't the sun. Around them, life carried on. People glanced, pitied, and moved on, because in a place where suffering is common, compassion becomes a luxury. A woman shook her head and walked past. A man stepped over a crushed mango without a glance. The market did not stop for sorrow, but Ibrahim did. He took a step forward. Then another. His bodyguards instinctively tightened formation, scanning for unseen threats. But there was only one threat here, the truth of neglect that no weapon could fight. When Nabil finally looked up, his face streaked with tears and dust. His eyes met Ibrahim's. They were the eyes of two worlds colliding, the forgotten and the remembered. But in that instant there was no title, no power, no politics. Just a man and a child, bound by shared pain. The boy didn't recognize him. Why would he? Presidents existed on TV, not in the dirt beside broken carts. All he saw was a tall man in simple clothes, looking at him with something he hadn't seen in a long time. Genuine concern. Are you hurt? Ibrahim asked softly, crouching until his knees pressed into the dust. The boy shook his head, unable to speak. His lips quivered, his throat dry. He looked terrified, unsure if he was in trouble for blocking the market path. Ibrahim glanced at the broken cart, then back at the boy. His voice lowered, calm but heavy with empathy. "What's your name, son?" "Nabil," the boy whispered. "And your father?" "Papa, he's sick." "He couldn't come. I was just trying to sell the fruit before it got too hot." The president nodded slowly, absorbing every word. This wasn't just a child's story. It was the story of a nation left behind. "You're a brave boy," Ibrahim said. "You came here alone, didn't you?" Nabil nodded again. His small shoulders trembled as he tried to wipe his tears, but Ibrahim gently placed a hand on his arm. "Don't," he said softly. "There's no shame in tears. Not when you've carried the weight of your family on your back." For a long moment, they just stayed there, a leader and a boy kneeling in the dust of a forgotten road. The crowd had fallen silent. Some watched with curiosity, some with disbelief. They had never seen a president lower himself before a child. Ibrahim looked at the shattered wheel again, then at the gaping pothole. He turned toward his guards. "Do you see that hole?" he said quietly, his voice trembling not with anger but with conviction. "That is not a hole in the road. That is a hole in our country's heart." The words struck everyone. The aide, the vendors, even the children who had stopped playing to watch. He straightened slowly, the dust clinging to his sleeves, his voice rising now with quiet strength. "We will fix this cart, but more than that, we will fix every road like this. I want no child to lose his family's bread because we failed to do our duty." The market murmured. Some believed, some didn't, but everyone listened. Nabil looked up again, confusion softening into hope. You'll help me fix it?" he asked shyly. "Not just fix it," Ibrahim smiled gently. "We'll make it stronger than before." He turned back to his team. "Bring me a mechanic. Bring wood, wheels, nails, whatever we need." "We start here." The aide hesitated. "Sir, now, in the middle of the market?" "Yes," Ibrahim replied firmly. "If I wait for comfort, I will never serve my people." The boy blinked up at him, almost unable to believe what he was hearing. And as Ibrahim knelt once more beside the broken cart, sleeves rolled, hands in dust, the people began to move closer, cautiously, reverently. For the first time in a long time, they weren't just watching a leader. They were witnessing a father rebuilding a nation, one wheel at a time. But as the tools arrived and the crowd grew, something unexpected happened. A stranger stepped forward, someone who knew the boy's secret, and what he revealed would change everything. Nabil sniffled and wiped his face with a torn sleeve. "Nabil," he murmured. Ibrahim repeated the name softly, like a vow. "Nabil." He said it again, slower this time, as if engraving it into memory. "Don't be afraid," Ibrahim whispered. But no one expected what happened next. The market, once a blur of color and noise, begins to still. Whispers ripple through the crowd like dry leaves in the wind. Someone gasps. "Is that President Traore?" Another voice answers, half disbelieving. "What is he doing here? Why is he kneeling?" Phones emerge. Hands rise to record. The air thickens with awe and disbelief. The president of Burkina Faso, kneeling in the dust beside a crying boy. It was unthinkable. Close on, Ibrahim's face. He hears the murmurs but doesn't react. His focus stays fixed on Nabil, the boy, the cart, the moment. Behind him, Kofi, his chief bodyguard, shifts nervously. A man carved from years of war and duty. Kofi's eyes scan every corner for threats. He leans in close, voice low but urgent. "Sir, we should move. This area hasn't been secured. There could be..." Without breaking his gaze from Nabil, Ibrahim interrupts. "Then secure it." Kofi blinks, startled. "But sir..." "Secure it," Ibrahim repeats, calm, resolute. "But I'm not leaving this boy." That sentence, quiet, almost tender, hits the air like a command from history. Kofi steps back. Orders ripple through his earpiece. The guards fan out. But Ibrahim remains where he is, on the ground beside a child whose world has fallen apart. The market transforms into a living theater. Hundreds gather, forming a loose circle, their faces painted with curiosity, reverence, disbelief. And then, through the murmuring crowd, an elderly woman emerges. Her face is lined like the dry earth, her eyes sharp with the wisdom of struggle. She sets down her basket of yams and speaks with the authority of someone who has seen hope die 1,000 times. "President Traoré," she calls out, her voice cutting through the silence. "You're wasting your time." The crowd parts slightly, giving her space. "The cart is broken," she continues. "The fruit is ruined. The boy will go home empty-handed, and tomorrow another child will sit in the same place with the same story. This is Burkina Faso. This is life. You cannot save everyone." Her words are not cruel, only tired. They carry the weight of decades, of broken promises, empty speeches, forgotten villages. She has seen presidents before. She has seen aid trucks that never arrived. Why should this one be different? Ibrahim rises slowly, the dust clinging to his knees. He faces her, his voice calm but clear enough for everyone to hear. "You're right," he says. "I cannot save everyone." The market quiets even further. Even the wind seems to wait. "But I can save Nabil." He turns, gesturing toward the boy. "And if I can save Nabil today, then maybe tomorrow we can start saving everyone." A ripple moves through the crowd. Soft, uncertain, but stirring. Some nod, some scoff. But all are listening. Then another voice, sharper, colder, cuts through the air. From the back of the crowd steps a man dressed slightly better than the rest. Clean shirt, polished shoes. He smirks, the kind of smirk that has survived too long on arrogance. "Mr. President," he says, his tone slick with mockery, "you're making a spectacle of yourself." The market stiffens. Even Kofi's eyes narrow. "This is not presidential," the man continues. "You're embarrassing yourself. And our country. Send the boy some money and move on. That's what your aides are for." "A president does not kneel in the dirt." Murmurs ripple again, the old ideology breathing through the crowd. Some nod in quiet agreement. They've been taught all their lives that power belongs above, not beside. Ibrahim turns slowly toward the man. He doesn't shout, he doesn't threaten. But when he speaks, the market falls completely silent. "You think a president doesn't kneel?" The man opens his mouth to answer. But Ibrahim's voice cuts through like thunder. "I was a soldier before I was a president." He takes a step closer. "And a farmer before I was a soldier. I have knelt to clean wounds, to plant seeds, to bury brothers. I will kneel again, if it means lifting my people." The man falters, his smirk fading. Ibrahim turns, raising his voice now. Not angry, but powerful. "Power is not about standing above others," he declares. "It's about standing with them. What kind of leader am I if I cannot kneel beside the very people I claim to serve?" Gasps. And murmurs ripple again, this time not in mockery but in awe. A few people clap softly. Others simply stare, moved but unsure how to show it. Ibrahim bends down again beside Nabil. He picks up a mango, crushed, dirt-streaked, half-rotten, and holds it up. "This," he says, "is not just fruit. It is the sweat of a father, the hope of a family, the soul of a nation that has been trampled long enough." His voice trembles, not from weakness, but from emotion. "We have built walls between the rulers and the ruled. Today we tear them down, one mango, one child, one cart at a time." The elderly woman covers her mouth. Tears shimmer in her eyes. Even the mocking man looks down, ashamed. Children inch closer. Vendors whisper prayers. And then, quietly, almost reverently, people begin to help. A young man picks up a fruit. Then another. Soon dozens of hands, rough, calloused, trembling, and move together, gathering the fallen mangoes from the dust. The market, once divided by despair, now moves as one body. Nabil watches in disbelief as strangers rebuild his hope before his eyes. He looks at Ibrahim, the man still kneeling beside him, and whispers, "Why? Why are you helping me?" Ibrahim smiles faintly. Because someone once helped me. The camera pans out. The market alive again, not with noise, but with unity. The broken cart begins to rise piece by piece. A leader had kneeled, and a nation had begun to stand. But just as the cart was fixed and hope returned, a voice in the crowd cried out. And what happened next would test Ibrahim's heart, more than any battlefield ever had. Ibrahim's words hung in the air, heavy, unwavering, filled with quiet power. I've knelt in mud, in blood beside dying brothers. I've knelt in prayer for this nation, he said, his voice steady as the crowd listened in stunned silence. And I will kneel beside any child of Burkina Faso who needs help. If that embarrasses you, then you've forgotten what leadership means. The man who had mocked him earlier looked down, shame creeping across his face. Around them, something began to shift. The marketplace that had once been a place of routine now felt sacred, as if history itself had paused to listen. Whispers faded, silence grew, and from that silence respect began to bloom. But Ibrahim's mind wasn't on applause or pride. His heart was racing with thought, not the easy kind of thought that ends with charity, but the kind that rewrites systems. Yes, he could give Nabil money. Yes, he could buy a new cart, enough food to last months. But what about tomorrow? What about the next Nabil, the next broken cart, the next cry that goes unheard? Money fixes a moment. Leadership fixes a lifetime. He turned to the crowd, his tone firm yet compassionate. How much does a good cart cost? Around 150,000 francs, sir, someone shouted. And the fruit? Maybe 25,000, another answered. Ibrahim nodded slowly, not just hearing numbers, but hearing stories behind them. He saw every cracked wheel, every broken road, every sleepless night a child spent worrying about food. He knelt again, placing his strong, calloused hand on Nabil's shoulder. Nabil, he said gently, listen to me, my son. You did nothing wrong. The cart broke because the road is broken, and the road is broken because we, your leaders, have been broken. But that changes today. The boy didn't fully understand, but something inside him, something small and fragile, began to feel safe. It was the first time in a long time that someone had seen him not as a problem, but as a person. Stand up, Nabil, Ibrahim said softly. You don't belong in the dust anymore. The boy rose shakily, eyes wide, his hand still clutching a piece of fruit. And then Ibrahim did something that would change the nation forever. He turned to his aide. Give me a phone, he said. Not a secure line, just a phone. I want this live. Within seconds, a smartphone was in his hand. He opened the camera, positioned it to capture both him and the boy, the broken cart behind them. The sun reflected off his uniform as he spoke, voice calm but commanding, the voice of a man speaking truth, not power. My fellow citizens, he began, I stand before you in the marketplace of Wagadugu beside a boy named Nabil. His cart is broken. His family depends on it to survive. His father is ill. His sisters are hungry. I want you to see this because this is not just Nabil's story. This is our story. He turned to Nabil and pressed a thick bundle of cash into the boy's trembling hands. This is for today, he said. For your fruit, your family, and your hope. The boy froze, eyes wide, tears spilling down his cheeks. He had never seen that much money in his life. But, Ibrahim continued, looking into the camera again, money runs out. What Nabil needs isn't charity. He needs justice. He needs a government that doesn't wait for tragedy to act. He turned sharply to his security chief. Kofi, call the Minister of Transport. I want this road repaired in 48 hours. Not next week, not next month, 2 days. And every other road in this market, fixed. We've ignored our people long enough. Kofi nodded and began barking orders into his radio. Ibrahim continued, voice rising like a drumbeat of change. And call the Minister of Commerce. I want an emergency fund today, for vendors like Nabil's father. When a cart breaks, when a wheel shatters, when a family falls, they will not wait in lines or fill out papers. We help them now. No excuses. No corruption. No delay. The crowd began to murmur, then cheer, then erupt in emotion. This wasn't a speech. This was transformation. Nabil stood motionless, tears streaming freely, unable to believe what he was witnessing. Ibrahim crouched down one last time, his eyes soft but filled with purpose. "Nabil, I want you to promise me something," he said. "When you grow up, remember this day. Remember that a true leader does not live above the people. He lifts them up." The boy nodded, whispering, "Yes, sir." "I will remember." Ibrahim hugged him tightly. Around them, the marketplace seemed to breathe as one, men and women crying openly, strangers holding hands, children clapping. Then, like thunder rolling through the heart of the crowd, an old woman began to sing, a song of hope and struggle. Others joined in, and soon the entire marketplace was alive with song. Ibrahim raised his hand, asking for quiet. When the music died, his voice carried through the stillness. "This cart," he said, pointing to the broken wood behind them, "will go to the Presidential Museum." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "The museum?" someone whispered. "Yes," Ibrahim said. "Because this cart is not just wood and wheels, it is truth. It reminds us that every broken system, every neglected road, every hungry child is our failure. And I will see it every day, to remind me what leadership truly means." He turned back to Nabil. "Tomorrow, a new cart will be delivered to your home. Strong, beautiful, and built by your people, because we all failed you when this road broke. But we will not fail you again." An aide leaned in. "Sir, the cabinet is waiting. The ministers are assembled." Ibrahim smiled faintly. "Then they can wait. This is more important." He ended the recording and handed the phone back. Then he faced the crowd one final time. "Go back to your work. Go back to your families. But remember this, when one of us falls, all of us must stop to help them rise. That is the Burkina Faso we will build." As Ibrahim walked away, surrounded by his guards, Nabil stood clutching the money to his chest. Watching his president disappear into the crowd, the market slowly returned to motion, but nothing felt the same. The air buzzed with energy, with belief, with the birth of something greater than power, hope.